Hey, today going through another example of how just through a few simple words I was able to generate over six figures in revenue using just one email. In this case, less than 200 words altogether, generated over 117,000 in sales. Unlike last week where I talked about an email that generated six figures for my client for the next 9 months, and I just gave you the structure. Today, I'm going to show you the actual email copy so you can see how amazing writer I am, but also how you can steal the email structure and tailor it to your own audience and hopefully earn some quick cash. Maybe not 117,000 from your list, but something to generate some quick cash. Again, for me, this was an email that probably took me less than a half hour to write. Again, less than 200 words, really paired up with, in this case, to give you a little bit more context, going to a VSL where I was selling more as an affiliate. So as the client that I was working for had its own set of products, this is more selling somebody else's product, and we got a cut of any sale that actually went through along the way, and that equated to, for us, 117,000, a little bit more than that and change in terms of revenue. So one specific email that was able to do that. I'm going to walk you through how I was able to do it. You can see, you'll see in just a second, it's very high curiosity, but it kind of goes to whether you're selling low ticket or high ticket, kind of showing the audience, again, the kind of the two essentials video that I did a couple days ago. Again, I'll link to it above that you want to go through. What's new, what's missing, and what's different from the product that you are offering. That's an easy way to differentiate your offer. Again, I spend most of my time in the high ticket space. So it's the first time joining one of my lives. I'm Czekanski, and I help coaches and experts in particular 10x their high ticket sales by, again, focusing on those on their 20, 30, 10K type of offers that are going out there, and really focusing on those leads that they've given up on. A lot like those coaches that have lists of low ticket buyers who have people that don't show up for sales calls or say no for sales calls, or maybe watch a part of their webinar but don't watch all the way through. All those are kind of leads that I want to engage with, and I can close them all via a process that via email or SMS or via Facebook Messenger, close them all through those channels without jumping on a sales call whatsoever. So let's jump into the example today. We'll kind of walk you through how you can do it, how you can utilize it for your list, even if you're not selling with a VSL or selling on an affiliate basis. We'll kind of talk through how you can use the same structure and potentially use that along the way. So, give you a little bit more context. This list that I was, sending this email to was more weight loss focused, a little bit more female oriented, so probably 95% women. And this was going to, again, an affiliate VSL that kind of closed the sale. So the whole job of this email was really to increase the curiosity, increase the click-through, but obviously put them in the right context where I want to get them to the VSL where they have the right mindset. Super important to have the right, from name and subject line and email copy. That all makes a huge difference in terms of being able to generate those sales. Like if you don't have all those things, like you really want a high click through, but you want to give people, put them in the right frame of mind to watch that VSL. So why this has really worked is it kind of set up. I had a good deal of knowledge, good deal of testing in terms of what my audience was doing on a daily basis, what they were trying to lose weight. And you'll kind of see how some of those elements came through in this email to generate really high click-throughs. So in my case, the typical click-through rate for this email list was probably around 2% or 2.5%. That was a relatively good average for a click-through rate. This was an email that generated consistently over 4% in terms of that click-through. I think the first time we ran it, probably 8% in terms of that click-through. So really high click-through just because it has a lot of curiosity, as you'll see as we go through it. But I'll kind of break it down into various different parts so that, again, even if you're not marketing to a list of people or women that are trying to lose weight, how can you use this structure and use it for your benefit and hopefully generate some quick cash along the way? So again, the first part here is, like the one thing I would kind of stress to, regardless of what you're doing, is that first line is super important. In any email that you write, it doesn't have to be a lot of words. So you can see only 3 words here, but what we're trying to do is convey, like we're starting with credibility here. So in what I've tested, especially with this weight loss, and especially with women, I only have a few points where I can go out there and show this credibility. So obviously, Harvard research, Harvard scientists Stanford scientists, Yale scientists. Those were all kind of the three that kind of stood out the most in terms of credibility. I could use Johns Hopkins. I could use some of those other ones that are out there within the Ivy League and elsewhere to generate some credibility. But it was really Harvard, Stanford, and Yale that kind of stood out among the rest. So starting with that credibility of like, hey, like this important research body is warning you of something. So again, it kind of catches people's attention of like, okay, credibility plus a warning here. Like, let me read through. So it kind of starts that chain of like we're building curiosity along the way, and with each line we're building more curiosity along the way in doing that. And then I went into kind of calling out their problems. So like for this weight loss offer, what I found again in testing. So here's where really knowing your audience is really important. Like, what is that main problem, and how would they describe it for them on your list? Like, what is that burning neck issue that they have to have solved right now, and how would they describe it? So for my list and what I tested, that lower belly pooch or that cellulite on their thighs were kind of those, as they looked in the mirror, like those are the things that have to go. Like we have to solve for those as of yesterday. So I kind of call them out to, again, kind of stir them up a little bit. So again, we provide a warning at the top with some credibility. We call out their problem to stir up some emotion and to talk about it. And I talk about how these things won't go away because of a dangerous additive they're putting in their morning coffee. So I knew from my list that most of them drank coffee. So again, this is like a daily habit. I knew most of them were putting some kind of something to their coffee. So this is an easy way to start with some credibility, talk about something that they probably do every single day, and try and get them, like, again, get those thoughts going of like, what is this dangerous additive, and am I using it? Like, is it something that I'm using every day, and is it leading to the problems that I want most to go away? Like, if I just take this additive away, does that lead to my problems going away? Like that's the thought process that I want to get into their head. So again, think of your list. If you don't have a weight loss list, if you don't have females on your list, like what is that burning neck problem that they have to have solved? What's something that they do every day that you could potentially warn them about? What I found is, like, obviously you can teach positive habits and how people can do positive habits, and that leads to the solution that they're looking for. But what I've seen is anytime you want to build curiosity, talk about the things that people are consciously or even unconsciously doing, and if they stop doing those things, how they can get the benefits they're looking for. Because it's really bringing awareness to, like, okay, you don't even realize you're doing this, and it's leading to the problem that you absolutely hate right now. But once you stop doing that, that can lead to, like, that's the first step to getting the things you want. And you can really build up some curiosity. Again, doesn't matter where you're at in personal development, like across the board in terms of industries. Like, this is something you can very simply do it, but you have to know what your audience is. You have to know what that problem is. You have to have a good sense of what their habits are and what they might be doing. Again, if you send this to a list and it's 80% of the people don't do that on a daily basis in terms of this, like drinking coffee, like, it's not going to catch as much of attention. But I knew, again, maybe not 100% of the people on my list were drinking morning coffee, but it was pretty close to that, just from having interactions with them, testing it out along the way. And I link it to, and then I bring it back to, again, kind of that Harvard research. So I'd done, I'd gone through all the Harvard research. I've kind of tied it to, something that I'm going to warn them about, and I found it in there. So again, I talk about this recent study I talked about, drinking this additive could put their metabolism into hibernation mode. So again, like at the very, like in this line right here, we're talking about how the problems that they hate the most aren't going to go away. And now we're providing a reason why. So now we've got their problem at the top. First part is credibility, problem, getting into like, okay, like, why is this problem not going to go away? Because this additive is linked to your metabolism. It's going to shut down your metabolism. It's going to slow down your metabolism, put it into hibernation mode. So you can see I'm using some dramatic language here. So again, you can see toxic additive. You can see hibernation mode. So I'm kind of, again, like, this is not a very passive email. I'm trying to go to the extremes here, but by doing that, I'm adding some more curiosity and making it possible for, again, these people that are reading through this email to not click through and find that solution as they go along the way. And I get into, like, what are they trying right now? I know for most of the people on this list that were trying to lose belly fat or trying to lose some of those problem areas, they're on a diet, they were trying to exercise like crazy, And this kind of explains, and those things weren't working. So again, this provides like a reason why all this stuff that you're trying isn't working, because you're doing this one thing when you put it into your morning coffee, or it could be the possibility here. So we're just opening up possibilities in their mind of like, hey, it's not your fault, that your diet isn't working, your exercise isn't working. I'm pointing the blame at something else. And again, if we can point the blame and create a different villain for what they're going through, and make it super easy in terms of, okay, eliminate this habit, maybe like create a new habit. In this case, we're selling an MCT powder. So if we can take away one additive that you're adding to the morning coffee, add this MCT powder, it's going to make a big difference in terms of what you're looking for. Like that easy switch, like there's no amount of effort that they have, like minimal effort that they have to take to get to the solutions that they're looking for in terms of taking away that problem. Super important in terms of what you're doing there. And then what I do is kind of agitate the problem. So again, like we talked about their lower belly pooch here, we talked about their cellulite. How can I make that more dramatic? Okay, if you don't stop taking putting this additive in your morning coffee, like how is your problem going to get even worse? So again, all we're trying to do is kind of stir up their emotions even more. So again, these are all things that I kind of tested out along the way. So like, in addition to their stomach, in addition to their thighs, what are those other problem areas that I could call out for your audience? Again, think about those other things that your audience might be dealing with in terms of that bleeding neck type of problem. Like, how does it introduce themselves in the rest of their life? What are those moments in the day where their pain point is at its highest? They're probably not in pain 24 hours a day, but there's certain moments in the day where they're just like, wow, this is really terrible. So how can you kind of agitate that problem even more? In this way, I was kind of calling out their arms. I was calling out their neck rolls. I was calling out their puffy face. Again, you can see like really aggressive language, so you can tone it down for your email list. But again, I'm using some really aggressive language here because I'm trying to stir up their emotions enough in a way so that when they do get to that VSL, they're more in tune with, okay, I need to figure this out right now. I need to get to that solution. If they're going into that VSL very passively and they don't have those emotions stirred up and they're not ready to solve their problem right now, it's not going to generate as many sales. So you can see how, again, in these first few lines, like I'm calling out, putting them in the right frame of mind, I'm stirring up their emotions, I'm letting them know what's at stake here. It's like your problem's only going to get worse if you don't stop doing this one thing. So again, there's enough curiosity there in terms of opening up that open loop. And then I try to add more curiosity here. So again, like, and basically saying like, you're not alone in making this mistake in terms of adding this dangerous additive to your morning coffee. There's actually millions of Americans that add this to their coffee every day, and they don't even know that it's hurting their metabolism. So once you do know what is potentially hurting your metabolism, that's what we can do. And then again, just two simple words here, are you? So again, calls it out, like almost like pointing the finger back at them, like, hey, are you doing this? And that kind of speaks to probably the thoughts in their mind right now of like, holy crap, like, am I doing this to my metabolism kind of like without even me knowing? So again, I could probably stop the email right now and, I'd get a bunch of sales and it'd probably be a 5-figure, email in terms of revenue here, but want to increase the curiosity even more by adding a quiz here. So again, I talked about here just before we get into the quiz, like, fortunately, as soon as you stop doing this one, like adding this one specific additive, you'll be able to shrink your tummy, skyrocket your energy levels, and feel better in as little as 24 hours. Again, tying that back to their metabolism. So this additive is being tied to their metabolism. Their metabolism isn't going to be, slowed down or damaged by that additive anymore every single day, adding that to their coffee. So their metabolism is going to, maybe slowly or maybe rapidly start to improve, and they're going to see all these benefits. So again, these are all the benefits. These are the 3 benefits that, again, I tested out in several different emails in the past. These are the ones that my audience wants the most in terms of, again, they want it really quickly. They want it kind of overnight. So in as little as 24 hours, so I kind of speak to that. So again, like one change to your habits every day can start to get you these benefits that you want along the way, but you have to know what it is first. So again, I call it out in the quiz. Again, one of the things for this list that I was selling to is they came onto my list using a quiz. So, they love quizzes, they love riddles, and you'll see along the way that you're, like most email lists, a great way to add to your CTR that might not necessarily add to sales, but in this case, worked really complementary to the VSL because the answer to this quiz kind of came through in the first probably first few minutes. So they got the answer to the quiz right away. They got some awareness of like, okay, whether they're doing it or not. And then it quickly got into the solution of like, okay, take away this from your coffee and you're going to see some benefits. But if you want even more benefits, and it goes into kind of the MCT powder and everything else that is aligned with that, and gets into the big idea and the unique mechanism, and goes into, again, that one specific thing that you're adding to your coffee, or any other thing to potentially get into that metabolism. So again, think about like, for this email, one of the big curiosity things, and one of the things that you can do for your email list is like, what are the things that they're doing every day that maybe unconsciously are leading to the problems that they have? Again, go to personal development. Maybe they're doing something right now that is feeding into their anxiety. Maybe it's not getting enough sleep. Maybe they're doing one specific activity that is leading to that inner critic being louder than most people. And if we could take that away and maybe replace it with, say, like any number of habits, that will lead to the benefits that they're looking for. So your audience really wants kind of that easy solution of like, okay, take away this one thing, add this one thing, and that will lead to results along the way. And then I kind of get into, again, all the options here. So all I'm trying to do with the quiz is trying to raise the curiosity. So I've got in their mind of like, okay, what could it be? So they start listing out all the things that they could potentially use. So like what I try to do here is like list out the like every possible thing that are pretty common, pretty popular for people to pour into their milk. Again, knowing my list pretty well, I had, again, these 5 choices, I've tested into them. I have a good idea that somebody's probably putting in almond milk, coconut milk, cinnamon. So the idea was like on my list, out of these 5 options, like regardless of whether you are or not, I want to just raise curiosity of you're probably using one of these adding one of these to your morning coffee, or you've heard one of these additives is good for you. And all I'm going to do on that, once you click through, is give you advice on, okay, you think this is healthy, but it's actually not. And we'll go into the reasons why in that. So, answers to the quiz, like, again, what is the answer to this quiz? I probably couldn't tell you at this time just because I wrote this a long time ago, but you can let me know in the comments if you want to know the answer to this. I'm happy to click through or give you the link to the VSL, and I can find out the answer and just kind of look at that. Probably take me a few seconds. So let me know in the comments if you want to know the answer to this quiz, and I'm happy to pop that in the comments if it makes sense. And then the final part of it, and the final words of it is like, we added a picture here. So we tested out a bunch of different images to further raise the curiosity. So you can see on that spoon, it's like, what is that? You don't exactly know what that is. So it kind of raises the curiosity even more. It doesn't really align with, is it cinnamon? Is it not? Those kind of things. So there was a lot of curiosity around cinnamon and what I was doing there. So again, is that cinnamon? Gets people thinking. They might be putting that in their coffee right now. And then I just gave them, make your selection above. So again, people love kind of those riddles, those quizzes, because they can kind of do that multiple choice, figure out their answer, figure out if they're right or wrong. And then I just provided a reminder, kind of going back to that big idea within the email. Remember, it's not too late to lose that stubborn belly fat. You just need to stop putting this in your coffee. So again, going back to like, stop doing this one thing, you'll get the benefits that you're looking for. And you can start losing weight, living longer, and feeling healthier. But again, it kind of starts with like that credibility at the top. It's not just a random person talking here. It's a Harvard scientist. It goes to a VSL where a doctor is speaking. So there's a lot of credibility around what we're talking about here, kind of knocking down conventional wisdom of what's healthy and what isn't. But you can kind of see as I went through that structure, how you can kind of tailor it to your list. Again, even if you're not in the health space or doing it in that way. Again, don't just copy and paste this email copy. Even if you are in the weight loss space, even if you are targeting females, because you can kind of see along the way in each of those lines. What I did was really have a strong awareness of who's on my list. I did a good amount of testing in terms of like what specific words and phrases and habits and things that they were trying on a daily basis that fed into that. So don't expect to kind of copy and paste this email into your list, even if you're selling a weight loss product or even to females, and it's going to generate 6 figures, because again, behind a lot of those words was, maybe hundreds of different tests, and really the knowledge of the list that I had gained over a long period of time, which made a huge difference in terms of like whether this email converted or not. And then again, I took this winning email and I just started creating variations on it. So I started with credibility, went with a different first line, and that generated probably not six figures. Yeah, I generated probably either two other emails that generated at least five figures. So like when you have a winning email, think about how you can chop up those different parts of that email into specific sections, maybe testing out that first line, maybe testing out other things as well. The other thing I wanted to note is like one of the things I always struggled with. So like, again, quiz ideas, like if you have an email generating to a quiz, like one of the things I always struggled with is, for this question here, or even the choices, like how am I going to come up with these ideas? And the great part is like, once you go to ChatGPT or any other AI that's out there, it can start generating these ideas for you. So, this is just a small part. I'm not going to show the whole prompt, but you can put in a prompt into ChatGPT asking them to, hey, can you give me 20 quiz ideas based on, here's the target market, here's a little bit of context of what I'm looking for. And then what it'll do is kind of spit out like, okay, here's a problem-based quiz in terms of what they're looking for. It can give you the answer to it, can give you an explanation, and then it can give you like other choices as well. So like super, like when I found the prompt, from one of my mentors, kind of came through super easy because you got a problem-based quiz, you got solution-based quizzes, you can kind of mix them up. Like, is it more of that problem? Is it more of that solution that I can point to? One will probably work better than the other. Like again, in my case, what I found is that more of that problem-based quiz tended to work a little bit better. But for your variations, if this type of email works for you, you should test out a solution-based quiz and see if that generates a higher click-through and generates more sales for you along the way. But again, this was kind of like a little hack that I was able to, find this super simple prompt, put it in there, and now I've got 20 different ideas. And again, I might mix and match some of these. So I might not love what the question is here. I might not love what the answers are, but I can kind of mix and match, and I can ask ChatGPT to generate 20 more or 100 more, whatever it is. The great part is you can use kind of AI to generate more ideas and more quiz ideas and more curiosity as you go along. And you can certainly use those winning emails and ask ChatGPT to write even further variations using the same exact structure as you go along. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, this was just a simple email that I put through. Again, I think it was 197 words altogether, generated 117,000 for the client that I was working for on an affiliate basis. So hope that was helpful. Every single week, I've got plenty of examples that generated 5 and 6 figures in terms of revenue. So let me know in the comments, is there any specific emails that you are looking for? Do you have a list that you are marketing to where I can pull out some of those examples that's a little bit more relevant to you, or anything that, again, I want to make as relevant to my viewers as possible. But if not, every single week, I'll be going through a couple different examples of 5 and 6 figure emails and some of the structures. And importantly, don't just copy and paste this stuff. Again, use the structure to mold it for your offer, mold it for your list to hopefully generate some really quick cash as we go along. And we'll go from there. So if this was helpful, hit the like button on whatever platform you're watching on. YouTube, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And I will see you on a future live.